Fantastic panel, wasn't it, ladies and gentlemen? I was so struck by what they were talking about at the very end, about mispricing of certain sectors, autonomy possibly, holistic AI. What did you think, Greg?
I think it's always a pleasure to have Chris Thomas back at CoMotion, because Chris can be counted upon to roll a grenade into the proceedings there.
And he's a real thinker, isn't he?
He is. Well, yes. He was the first speaker up here to call AI a bubble, so thank you, Chris, for that. And second, space is the place, if you listen to him. So, but I did think it was fascinating for them to talk about, where are the mismatches in autonomy there in terms of, where are the valuations out of whack. And, the thing that struck me as the most interesting point about mispricing is that none of them said per se the largest technology IPO in the world last year was Talabat, which was here in the Gulf, a delivery startup focused on instant delivery. And it's been interesting because that business model failed in the United States and has failed in the global north, but it's succeeded incredibly well in the Gulf and in India. And so lots of opportunities there.
Really, that's another point that Chris made, actually, if I remember rightly, that it's all about geography. It's not just about the technologies, it's also about matching the technologies with the needs of the region and the needs of the citizens. And I guess that's a good example of it.
Yes, and that's exactly why we're here in Riyadh for this, is because, so much of this discourse has been dominated by the United States and the global north, and really, global urbanization is, of course, happening here. It's happening in the subcontinent of India. It's happening in sub-Saharan Africa. And these are the business models that are actually going to succeed to meet the needs of those people. So that's the kind of conversation I want to have here.
Okay, so I'm going to take a step back now. I am not an urbanist. I know very little about cities. But what I've been struck by so far today are some very cute things. Forgive me for using the word cute, ladies and gentlemen. For instance, the robo-boat, or things that have captured my imagination, like those cable cars going over Freetown that Mayor Yvonne told us about. What do you think is the role of something like that? Design, beauty, the way in which Apple managed to convince us all to have tablets in our hands and iPhones. It was the beauty, the design that did it, wasn't it?
It was, and it's interesting you say that because, of course, Apple has tried to create its own electric or autonomous vehicle and ultimately failed. But you're right, the two words that come to mind are charismatic megafauna, right? Objects of desire. It's not a coincidence that the first
Objects of desire. That's very interesting.
And cuteness is key. The first rendering of Waymo was of a tiny car that has a smile on its face. That cuteness of it is inherent to robotics and that kind of public acceptance. So the autonomous vehicle is super cute in that regard. And it is also interesting too that, these urban projects of cable cars and others, these inspiring transformational projects, have this air of, I don't know, that sense that we lost in many parts of the world here of being able to invest and build something that creates dignity and elevates, which Chris, I thought, did a great job of hearkening back to what His Excellency said at the outset today.
Yeah, I think mothers want to take a little ride with their kids because their kids are pestering them, right?
Yes.
You want grandmothers to take a little ride because, maybe it'll make that journey to the subway station that bit easier.
Well, you say that, and also, to the point here about autonomy, what has not been said is, given particularly the focus on family in this region and globally, of course, is the real killer use case for autonomy, I'm convinced, will be safe transportation for children. Waymo is already introduced in the States.
Tell us more.
Well, Waymo is already introduced in the States a formal mode to basically get teenagers rise within Waymo because of the crushing costs and time of parenting and conveying children. So I think you're right. So the combination of that cuteness, the combination of safety, and that combination of that, and hopefully that will lead to more multimodal trips of taking children that last mile to and from public transportation or other modes. But yeah, it is all about cultivating that sense of safety with them.
Also cities, of course. Let's be a bit more serious and move away from cuteness for a minute. Mm-hmm. Cities are growing so fast. And there are particular challenges that cities have, don't they, to make sure that they serve all the needs of all their citizens. Where do you see the most impressive big picture thinking going on?
Well, so two things. It was really interesting to see Mayor Aki Sawyer take inspiration from Medellin. So, of course, Colombia has had so many great successes with the transmillennial buses and, of course, with the cable car gondolas.
Yes, we heard Medellin referred to also by Mayor Yvonne, didn't we?
Yes. And so, so that's really interesting to see that example carry over now into the new generation of investments. And as she pointed out, it's too expensive to build metros in many places, so going to the air, we see that, of course, here at the Riyadh Metro, the Dubai Metro as well, too. So I think that's really interesting. But then it almost comes full circle. What Carlo did not mention, I thought, interestingly, was that the rowboat designed for Amsterdam and its canals is perfectly suited to the two fastest growing megacities on the planet, according to the new UN statistics, which is Jakarta, which is sinking, and Dhaka, which will be the world's largest city by 2050.
Of course, both on the water.
Both on the water. So, there's going to be incredible need to use those waterways as core infrastructure in addition to dealing with their sea level rise and other sort of climate change problems. So, we should be talking more about autonomous boats, because that is actually not just a cute experiment coming out of MIT, but that could be a core solution.
Well, what we're going to be talking about next is cities, growing cities. And what better than to talk to one of the architects of the Riyadh public transport network here. We're delighted to welcome engineer Hassan Al Mousa, who's just joined us, and he's going to tell us about Riyadh's journey to global mobility excellence. Please do come and join us. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here at CoMotion. Riyadh today is really at a turning point. The city is growing fast, more projects and destinations, leading to changing demand for mobility. Over the past decade, we have taken major steps to improve the city, how it moves, and mobility has been one of the main areas of focus. So before we get into what comes next, it is important to look at what's driving this rapid change. As part of that, we looked at how we manage the system internally and how we work with a wider group of partners who support the mobility ecosystem across the city. For many years, Riyadh followed a road-focused, city-led approach that supported the earlier stages of development, and that model has naturally evolved as the city has grown. Now we are moving towards more seamless, AI-enabled, multimodal ecosystem, connecting more modes closely and working alongside operators, innovators, and government partners as network expands. To build a mobility system that can support a city growing as fast as Riyadh, we need to strengthen the core capabilities behind that. The offered modalities are the foundation of the entire mobility ecosystem. First is our road network, still the backbone of movement in Riyadh. As city grows, we must keep those roads efficient, safe, ready for the future. Alongside the roads, we have other pillars: traffic management, making sure that the network flows smoothly. Public transportation, as we know, is now becoming more and more part of the daily life of Riyadh people and its visitor. And active mobility supports healthier movement and strengthens first and last mile access. The efficiency of the model offering would then be ensured through cross-cutting enablers that help the whole network function more smoothly. This includes planning and policy so we can guide the demand and improve safety, technology and data, which help us manage the system better and deliver modern service to residents and visitors. governance, so decisions are coordinated and implemented quickly, and funding which supports collaboration with the private sector and ongoing improvement of the system. Roads will be continuing to play a major role in how people move around the Riyadh city. But the city growing as quickly as it is, the network has to keep improving so it can handle more demand safely and efficiently. We are upgrading more than 500 kilometers of roads, major roads across the city. This is a large effort and will have a big impact once completed. We expect road capacity to increase to 85%, which will help ease congestion and improve travel times for a lot of people. Looking ahead, we will continue to focus on strengthening the corridors, reducing bottlenecks, and making sure our road infrastructure is ready for new technologies and travel patterns. Alongside roads, traffic management is a critical part of how the city functions every day. It is where technology, data, and on-the-ground operation comes together to keep people moving. We have completed a major traffic signal improvement program in 3 phases. In total, over 700 adaptive signals have been rolled out at critical intersections across the city corridors. This will allow the system to adjust based on demand, helping improve traffic flow and reduce delays. Looking ahead, we're bringing a more data-driven tools, better sensing and predictive capabilities. This will help manage the network more proactively, making streets safer and daily travel smoother. Now we come to public transportation. As you know, has become a major part of how Riyadh moves. It is no longer just an alternative. It's starting to shape daily travel across the whole city. The Riyadh Metro span over 176 kilometers across 6 lines, recognized by Guinness World Records as the longest fully driverless metro network in the world. And the bus network now covers more than 80 routes, over 1,900 kilometers and nearly 3,000 stops and stations, giving people better access across different districts. We are also strengthening the first and last mile options, things like demand responsive transport, park and ride facilities, to make sure that the travel being more easier for people and tourists of Riyadh. Together, these systems are already changing how people move around the city of Riyadh, with ridership over 150 million on the metro and around 110 million riders on the bus, resulting a total of 260 million trips taken across the public transportation since launch. Our priority going forward is to strengthen connections, making it easier for people to move between lines, between modes, and between neighborhoods. The goal is simple: a system that is reliable, easy to use, within reach for everyone. And as the transit expands, we continue connecting the people to the city and the city to the people. Active mobility is becoming an important part of how we shape daily life in Riyadh. It is not only about transportation, it is about health, access, and creating spaces where people can move more freely. Riyadh is delivering the Sports Boulevard project, a 135 kilometers corridor for walking, cycling, and active mobility, with more than 83 kilometers already completed. It brings together over 50 sports sites and 4 million square meters of green space, helping create a more active and people-focused urban environment. Going forward, we will expand these routes We will expand these routes, support more micro-mobility options, and continue building the facilities and infrastructure that keep those modes safe and convenient. All of this help create the cities that pedestrian-friendly and easier to move around, not just by car, but in ways that also improve everyday's quality of life. Now, going forward, and to make all these different modes working together, we need a strong set of enablers behind the system. These are the things that guide how mobility grows and operates across the city. Planning and policy, which help in guiding demand, improving safety, and keeping sustainability in mind as we develop our road and public transportation network. Technology and data will help us to collect data, connect systems, and monitor performance, simulate before implementing and operating the network more efficiently. All of this is coordinated by a solid governance framework spanning all key entities to ensure fast decision-making and fully aligned. For a city growing as quickly as Riyadh, this coordination is essential. Beyond the government entities, we are also actively involving the private sector and private funding. Long-term mobility development depends on sustainable financing, and that includes creating space for private investment and new funding models. Together, these enablers help us manage the system in a way that keeps pace with Riyadh growth and supports a more connected mobility network. The components we talked about before are built up into a multi-layer ecosystem of collaborating parties, all working towards the same goal. Public entities are the core of the development, shaping strategic directions and decisions, planning and regulatory framework. This includes the key ministries, the Public Investment Fund, Riyadh Municipality, and the Transport General Authority. Each plays a role in moving the system forward. In addition to this, the opportunities for the private sector collaboration, bringing innovation, operational expertise, and new business models that helps Riyadh evolve. Metro and bus operators, technology firms, ride-hailing operators, and micro-mobility providers all help deliver services and adapt to changing demand. We also work closely with partners beyond the kingdom. The global network from GCC cities from GCC cities to international partners and research groups help us learn, test new ideas, and apply what works for Riyadh's future. Riyadh is becoming a place where we can test and scale new mobility solutions in real time. The pace for growth gives us room to coordinate new ideas and see their impact quickly. We are expanding major infrastructure, bringing in advanced technologies, and piloting new modes for transport as the city's needs continue to grow. All of these driven by collaboration with long-standing partners and new ones joining along the way. That shared effort allows us to move faster and build a system that keeps improving over time to make Riyadh one of the top most livable cities in the world. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Engineer Hassan. Please don't leave us. Make yourself comfortable. Why don't you join